Hello, everybody. This is Paul Cannon with Meet Houston Missions and Simmons and Fletcher, and also the Simmons and Fletcher Local Missions podcast that you were listening to. The podcast is designed to help volunteers find a place to volunteer, people with a heart to serve. This is the podcast for you to listen to if you want to learn from the people who are in the trenches doing the missions work and are needing people to come help. This is some great opportunities to get involved. So please have a listen today. We have a special guest, Diana Willetts, the area representative for the Fellowship of Christian Athletes, and she's going to tell us a little bit about this organization. My son's been a part of this organization. I know it's a great organization, so I'm very excited to have her. Diana, how are you doing today?
Hi, thanks for having me. I'm so excited to do this. This is actually, fun fact, my first podcast. So
Awesome. Well, welcome to
awesome.
the show. I hope it goes really smooth
Thank
then.
you.
Good deal. Good deal. Well, tell us a little bit about, start off with yourself. Tell us a little bit about
Sure.
yourself and how you got involved with Fellowship of Christian Athletes.
Sure. Well, like you said, my name is Diana Willetts, and I'm a native Houstonian, born and raised outside of Houston in Richmond, and we live in Katy currently. I'm a wife, and I have 4 kids that all go to Katy ISD schools, one in each level. So we're very busy all the time. But because of my oldest, he's a senior now. That's how I got involved with Fellowship of Christian Athletes. He is on the football team at our high school. And when we opened the school a couple years ago, we were talking about trying to get something going for a home Bible study or look into Young Life or FCA, something like that. And so I reached out to FCA Houston. We got some information there. And then to my surprise, I got offered a job to be on staff with FCA. And I said no, because I was not looking for that. I already had 16 plates going at the same time any given day. And I didn't need a 17th plate. But God was answering our prayer for FCA in our school even more, even tenfold, because He has graciously given me the opportunity to work with all the high schools in Katy and all the junior highs in Katy, with their coaches and their athletes, and to help them grow their relationship with Christ, and also bring in their friends, from the dark side, if you will, into the light of Jesus. And so it became more than just my son's football team, and I love it. I love that I'm able to help everybody.
Wow, well, that's awesome. So you oversee the entire Katy area. I assume pretty much every area kind of has its own person that is the area
Yeah,
representative. So Houston would have one too for people who want to do
correct.
something locally, as well as probably Richmond and some of the other smaller communities around the area.
Yes. So currently, so where are we? October of 2023. We have, so I'm the Katy area rep. We have Bill Moore in Sugarland area. So he's like Fort Bend ISD. And then we have Wade Hopkins is in Houston Independent School District, and he has a great team there with him over there. And so we are part of the Gulf Coast area and FCA.
Awesome.
And so we've got area reps all over the place, but we also have mobilized volunteers, which I know we're going to talk about volunteers here in a minute, but I rely a lot on my volunteers. That could be a pastor from a church. It could be a youth pastor. It could be someone in the community that has missions, on their heart, in athletes and coaches. But I can go into detail about what that would look like later on in our conversation. But
Well,
I can't do it all by myself. There's no way.
well, that's awesome. It sounds like you have quite a crew of people that you can look to
Yeah.
for assistance and support in this. Then, correct?
Yes.
Good deal. Well, tell us a little bit about FCA. What does
Sure.
it involve? If a student wants to join, what is it? What do they do when they get involved in FCA?
Fellowship of Christian Athletes is a school club, and it's a student-led organization. And if the students want to be involved in the club, we don't have any membership dues or anything like that. They just show up to the huddle. The meetings are called huddles, and they're held on campus. And they're typically before or after school. There's only 2 junior highs currently that meet during their advisory time, like their extended learning time. That it's a club on campus. It's a place for them to come and fellowship with with their friends, with their team. The leadership team of Fellowship of Christian Athletes at their campus will schedule the huddles. They will plan a lesson, a short devo. We always play some kind of game, because what is a group of athletes without a competition?
You mentioned that the students all come together and meet in huddles. Tell us about what a huddle is.
Yes, a huddle is, in broad terms, a quick little Bible study. But it's not like a Sunday school class. It's not like a church service. There will be some kind of Devo shared by the leadership team. Sometimes we have guest speakers like pro athletes, someone who's gone through the Fellowship of Christian Athletes program in their school, and then now are still walking out their faith in college or after. But it's a fun time. They come to school. A lot of times it's in the gym, so they can play a fun game. They really get into dodgeball. I mean, it's like that's like the favorite thing. So they come and play a healthy competition, small little fun game. The leadership team will give a devotional. Right now, the students are going through a ministry theme called Greater over John 3:30. I must decrease and he can increase. And they're going through lessons on having greater potential in your daily life, in your sport, greater purpose in your life, not just wearing the uniform from your school, but the uniform of God. There's all these little things that are taught through the gospel in a quick little 15-minute lesson from your peers. And then the peers are discipling one another, and then they can go walk it out in their daily life in their schools.
Do they get involved in things together as a group outside of these huddles, or is it primarily the huddles that Fellowship of Christian Athletes involves?
Yeah, they can absolutely go out into their community as a group, as an FCA chapter, if you will, as a huddle group, as a team, and serve their community. We do have a few schools that do that already. As you know, there are so many different places around the community that need support, whether that be serving dinner at the Ballard House, painting a wall somewhere, building something. And so as an organization, because that's what is on their heart, I mean, they have Jesus walking with them every day in their school, and they naturally see the need of their community just from their peers. There's so much that they do on a daily basis, even just praying for one another. So
There must be 100 schools in the Katy ISD school district that you're overseeing. With all the schools
feels like it.
from elementary on up to high school, it would be impossible
Yeah.
for you to be there and be at every meeting and know
No.
exactly what each organization is doing. But within the schools, these individual organizations, they can get involved in other things as a group, and it gives these kids a
Yes,
chance to develop a sense of belonging to a
that's
group
right.
of friends and organization that is doing positive things for the
That's
community and
right.
not negative things. Correct?
Correct.
That is awesome. And while we're on that topic, what
Yeah.
ages does Fellowship of Christian Athletes encompass?
So traditionally, it's 6th through 12th grade.
Okay,
That's the way it was developed for team sports at school to huddle together. It does make it easier, right, for the parents and for transportation
right.
purposes. But also, it makes a difference in the kids and the coaches' lives, because, as we know, coaches are a huge influence on their students, whether that's negative or positive. We're always praying that it's positive, right? And so
Mhm.
they're with that group of kids so much, and they're with those coaches so much, that we would love, and that's the hope and the prayer and the mission of FCA, is to bring these kids together, and grow their relationship with Jesus, or form one if they don't have one, right? That's the whole purpose of this whole thing, is to grow the kingdom. They can absolutely do things as a team. And that, again, traditionally at school is from 6th to 12th grade. Now we do have community huddles. Katy Gymnastics and Pos Cheer has a huddle that they invite anyone in their gym to come to. And so that is their team, right? The
Awesome.
KGPS is their team. We do have a huddle starting at Aristoy Classical Upper School. And they also range from like 6th to 12th grade. But again, everyone's welcome. It's just the way the curriculum's designed as well when we have our Devo Bible studies. But that doesn't mean we can't do something for the younger kids. It would just be a different. We would just have to develop
Right.
something for them.
Fair enough. And so with
Yeah.
one thing I should ask just to make sure everyone understands, it's I know you talked about it from a perspective of your kids are involved in football and y'all were trying to bring an organization originally that would help the football players, but this is an organization that's open to athletes of all sports, correct?
Absolutely, absolutely, and it's actually open to any student. You don't have to be an athlete to be part of the Fellowship of Christian Athletes. It's called that because that's the way that that Coach McLean wanted it, or not wanted it, developed it
Uh-huh.
when he developed it in the 50s. Even still now, you see pro athletes representing companies, whether that's a Nike swish or some kind of food or cereal, whatever.
Right.
So why not represent your Christianity? Why not represent Jesus?
I hear you.
So
I hear you.
everyone's welcome. My point is, everyone's welcome. But the leadership teams are athletes in some way, where they can be dancers, they can be tennis players, football players, whatever. I mean, take a
Wonderful.
swift walk and you're an athlete, I mean,
Well, tell me about it. This with students, how do they go about joining if they want to get involved in
Mhm.
Fellowship of Christian Athletes?
Well, the schools that I serve in Katy ISD, currently we have a huddle in every high school except Morton Ranch High School. So those of you who know anyone at Morton Ranch as a Christian coach, teacher, student, send them my way. Um, you can look at your school's website to see what clubs are offered. And then it will have a teacher or sponsor's name, a teacher or coach's name of who you could contact. All of my schools, except I think maybe two junior highs, have social media. They can also reach out to me and I can let them know if there's a huddle on their campus or not. But we do have a website, that they can go look and see.
Okay.
Um,
And do they email you or call you, or how do people get in touch with you for something like that?
yes, an email is great. My email is the letter D as in Diana, Willetts at fca.org.
Part of your role
Mhm.
as the area representative is to meet with schools and talk with them about the opportunity for having the Fellowship of Christian Athletes be on site, correct?
Correct.
If a school wants to be involved or wants this to happen, what do they need? What steps do they need to take to
Mhm.
develop it on their campus?
Okay, so if a sponsor is a coach or a teacher that is going to monitor and kind of own this club with the students. It is student led, but the adults are always there. They're involved in the planning sessions, they're involved in the huddles. They can approve the lesson plan or not, but they don't lead anything unless they're asked to. If a student asks a sponsor, a coach, or a teacher to pray, they can. If a student asks them to share their testimony, they can. But going back to your question, how do they get it started? They can email me, they can call me, they can set up a meeting. We could do a Zoom, I could come to school. I have resources for all of those new campuses that want to
Wonderful.
have their club get started. We have a small training that we go through, statements of faith that we read together and agree to. And there's just a few stepping stones, like the district, they have to get it approved by their assistant principal. And then we get them certified and off we go.
On average, how long does that process take? If someone were to call you today and say, "Hey, I want this in my school. I've got a adult lined up. How do we make this happen?" How long does it take generally to get something like that going?
If everything's lined up and God's ordained this, then it's within weeks. I mean, it's just
Nice, nice.
it's if somebody has this on their heart and it is God's timing to get this going on their campus, it can happen, like I said, within a month. I mean, it's my steps for people to take as far as training, paperwork, a meeting. That's easy. I mean, it's easy. It's just making sure that this is the right timing for their school.
Well, that's awesome. So,
Mhm.
if we have listeners out there who have a heart to serve by helping kids join an
Mhm.
organization that helps them encourage others as well as be a part of just a Christian community serving and helping others within the school district, it's something that can be set up with a minimal amount of effort and time on the part of the host.
Right.
And it can be done in a matter of less than a month to make it happen. That be
Yes.
fair?
Yeah, that
Awesome.
is. Yeah.
That is wonderful. I think a lot of people will be happy to hear that because you always put this mountain in front of you when you think, gosh, there's all this work that has to be done, but it's amazing how when you really take that first step and learn that you realize that God makes a lot of that stuff pretty easy. So
Yeah.
um, that's great. Well, I'm glad to hear about that. Is there anything you'd like to tell us that I haven't asked you about FCA, what they do, what it takes to be involved, future plans, anything like that before we end the meeting?
Yeah, I would. I would always like to remind people and tell people that we are a ministry based on support raising. We are a nonprofit, and so in order to provide the Bibles to the students, in order to provide the resources for training materials, for study materials, in order to provide the funds for staff, um, for gear. I mean, everything you could think of, it's fundraised. And we run on that and donations. And so if that is something that you as listeners would like to help support our Katy ISD ministry, please reach out. We have a donation link that I will get and share before we end the recording.
Okay.
We have a donation link that is live, and you can donate right there monthly. My ask is that you prayerfully consider donating $100 a month to support the Katy FCA ministry. That will go to Bibles. Each Bible costs $10. Cost me $10 to buy. And so that would get 10 Bibles in 10 kids' hands in a junior high or a high school. And so that is a big ask. A
Wonderful.
need. It's a need, actually, not even an ask. It's a need that we need Bibles in these kids' hands so they can go to the truth, and they can learn about God and what He's got in store for them.
Awesome. So you indicated y'all do some fundraising, obviously on the website.
Mhm.
Do the organizations themselves do fundraising as well, like within the schools, or how does that work?
They can. Um, each huddle, each school has some type of fundraiser that they do throughout the school year, whether it be something like a car wash or just simply collecting money to pay for donuts every time they meet. Every school I say I allow them, but it's not really my decision. It's FCA's decision. They kind of hold the money a little bit differently. It can be held through Katy FCA in our org. It can be held at the school in a school club fund, and then they request it to get it taken out to pay for stuff, or it can be held by a mobilized volunteer, which just means that's just a fancy title for a parent a parent of the students. But then there's steps they would have to follow if they want to become a mobilized volunteer, and then they would steps they have to follow with finances and stuff. So
All
if
right.
you would like to I would love for you to prayfully
Yeah.
donate to um, FCA Katy to support FCA Katy. The website is my dot fca dot org backslash my name, Diana Willetts, and those funds directly go to Katy, Texas.
All right. Well, thank you so much for taking time to be on today and to tell us about Fellowship of Christian Athletes and what all that involves
For
and
having me.
how easy it is to set up this organization within your own school if you don't have it, and how easy it is for parents and students and teachers to be a part of it. Thanks again. This is Paul Cannon with Meet Houston Missions and partner at Simmons and Fletcher. If you are a missions organization and you're looking for volunteers, you want to tell people about your organization, this is a good place to do it. Give me an email at pcannon@simmonsandfletcher.com, or give us a call, 713-932-0777. We'd love to hear from you.
Thank you so much.
Diana,
Yeah,
thank you
no
for being
problem.
on.
Thank you.
All right, take care.